Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly live session. I'm Joanna Pachowski, the founder of The Accountable Mindset. And today, the topic of the session is how to save time, specifically how you can save around 22 days between today and the end of the year. And of course, the question is, how is this possible? So when I have been looking a few months ago at how I can make efficiencies in my day, and we all have 24 hours in the day, I started looking at what I was doing during the day and how I was allocating my time. And the reason why I came up with the 1 hour is through an analysis, which I'm going to come to in a moment. But just to give you an idea, what 1 hour per day in time saved or generated for other purposes, other reasons than the ones you're using them today means, is 1 hour per day results in 365 hours a year. So 365 hours, how much time is that actually? So when you divide it by 24 hours, that's actually in the course of the year, 15 full days of 24 hours. Now, obviously, we're not awake for 24 hours, nor do we use 24 hours in a productive way. We do other things. We have to eat, sleep, and so forth. So if we just assume that a working day has 8 hours, just a standard working day has 8 hours, 365 hours in that you potentially could save are actually over 45 working days. So over 45 working days, that's actually more than 9 weeks of working days that you could potentially generate. So that's what we're looking at. And hi, everyone. Thanks very much for the comments. Any questions you have, please do ask me. Put them in the comments. So when we actually think about between now and end of the year, we have a bit less than half of the year still to go. So if we can create that 1 hour per day for the rest of the year, this is actually, in the terms of equating it to working days of 8 hours, four full weeks, working weeks, around 22 days. So between today and the end of the year, there are 22 days that you could find in your schedule, based on the experience I've had with my schedule, that you could reallocate to whatever you want to reallocate it to, whatever goal you have. So the question is how to get there. And there are two specific ways how to look in terms of how to find that time. So one is to look at actually the activities, so what you do, so the effectiveness of your schedule, of your working day, of your life in general. So the effectiveness. The other way of looking at it is the efficiency. And the efficiency is about how you do the different tasks. So when you already know something is really helpful, something is going to stay part of your life and your calendar, how can you actually make it more efficient? So these are the two aspects we're going to be looking at: the efficiency, how you do things, but also the effectiveness, what we actually do. So how to go about it? This is something that I've tested and tried many different times with different people, different clients throughout the last 20 years of my career, and I've also tested it on myself. So there's two tools that you can use to establish, first of all, what's going on. So there is one tool I've created where you would capture in 30-minute intervals throughout the day what you do. And the best way of doing this is for a minimum of 2 days, obviously during the time that you're awake, and capturing for at least 2 days what happens, exactly what you do, what types of activities you carry out. Ideally, you can do this for 7 days, but 2 days is really the absolute minimum. And when you start capturing the activities, it's good to think about the categories of activities where you want to put those activities. So the categories could be obviously work or business. And it would be good if you were able to actually think already whether this is working in your business. So at work, this would be a bit less applicable. But when you have a business, is this a direct activity where you deliver value to your client, to the product that you're going to deliver to your client? Or is this something where you work on your business? So, for example, generating new sales leads or creating marketing, public relations, so communication, talking about your product, your service, to grow your business. This is really then working on the business as opposed to in the business. So having these two separate categories for business is very helpful. And then you can have categories like, family, hobbies, health is really important as well. And whatever types of categories you allocate, it's important not to have too many. So probably a maximum of 7, 5 to 7 is probably a good amount of categories to have. So as you then log every half an hour, write down what type of activity you do, you would then at the end of the day allocate it to a category. So what happens after the 2 to 7 days, you have a number of buckets of categories, 5 to 7, where you allocate the different activities that you do. And this is where you might start to see some trends, some patterns in your day, where your time goes. And actually, when you write it down, sometimes you start seeing that some of the sequence of events, how you schedule maybe the activities or how they happen, are not in the best order either. So just writing it down and starting to analyze it is really helping to see what could be improved. If you prefer not to write things down, there is also an option to do this all online, and there's then the added bonus of an automated analysis. So I don't know if many of you know the Time Doctor app. So Time Doctor is actually available for free for a 14-day trial. So you can use 5-7 days of that free trial to actually capture your activities in the different categories, and then you will get an analysis of those at the end of the time. So I will put the link in the chat box as well, so you know exactly how to where to find it and then use it if you choose to do that. So first step is to understand what really happens, capture all the information, capture the data, and then to effectively categorize it into the different buckets. And once you have those activities combined, the next thing is to think about what is the goal that you're pursuing right now. And the reason why it matters is because once you start looking how relevant the activities are, if there's anything that you can drop or delay, postpone, potentially, and there are other categories I come to in a moment, but before you do that, you have to be clear in what context you're evaluating whether an activity is effective, so the right activity, or efficient, so done the right way. Because depending on what goal you pursue, you will be prioritizing and assessing the activities differently. So having the real clarity about in the context of what goal you're going to be assessing these activities as effective or efficient is the starting point. So when you're clear about this, so what you're doing and what the goal is that you're pursuing at that point in time, it is the next step is to look at the different buckets, the different categories, and start looking whether there are activities that can be either delegated, can be outsourced, have to be dropped potentially. So this is all talking about already about efficiency and effectiveness as well. Or maybe you can change the way how it's being done as well. And again, worth considering is that not to think about the process in relation to the goal, but really the outcome. So when you look at the different activities and decide whether they are effective or efficient in relation to the goal you want to achieve, think about the outcome of each of these activities. So not actually, and a great example is this something that I've come across so many times is when someone says, I'm busy. So busy is not a qualitative assessment of the effectiveness or efficiency of the task. This just means that someone is doing something. When I jump around, I can say I'm busy, right? Because I'm doing something, but this is not what this is about. It's about really understanding when you put this time in and do this activity, what is the outcome? How is this going to move you forward and help you achieve that goal? So effectiveness as the first filter effectively of what we're looking at is we very often do things because we've been doing them for a long time. We don't sometimes even question why we're doing them. So looking at the effectiveness side, so what happens and why an activity happens while we're doing this. The first question to ask is really, why are we doing this? Because it's possible that we've been always doing this, so we don't question it. And for example, in terms of what we do, and that is a real time eater, because this is really what we're talking about here as well, is the snoozing in the morning. So there tend to be two types for people: the people who just jump out when the alarm clock goes off, and those who just keep pressing the snooze button. And while this might help to move from sleep to awake, this can sometimes take a very, very long time and really add up. So I know people who snooze for half an hour in the morning, and this is neither being asleep nor actually being awake. So it doesn't help the body to rest, nor does it actually help to achieve anything. So when someone has been doing this for a long time, they just take it as part of their life, their routine. They don't question why they're doing this, how is this actually helping them with what they want to achieve in the day. Other things are, for example, is when you're at home, when you're a parent, very often you clean up after kids, and kids grow up, and at some point you probably should be asking them to clean up after them. Also, when you have when you're in an office environment as well, it's a different example. Is that there might be always someone who gets asked to organize a meeting or a social event, or to bring a cake, maybe in a more social environment as well. And the question is always, why are they being always asked to do something? And one of the traps in that context, when you spend time always helping others, always supporting others, always doing something for others, one of the trap questions is, or statements is, I'm asking you because you're always so good at doing this or helping others. And this can be a real time eater, and something where actually, of course, occasionally we help others, but if this is becoming a consistent pattern, when you look at your day and see, every single day you do something for others, this might actually be not helpful to continue that way. And there might be time to be saved. Again, balancing the want to support others and being obviously part of a wider community, but also looking at the time that you can save from doing a bit less for others as well. And then apart from effectiveness, so what we do, the second element is the efficiency. So how do we do that? So having looked at the different activities during the days that I've captured, what I started looking at when I was putting myself through this, I started looking, am I really the best person to do all these things that I've now seen and I've agreed with myself in line with the goal I'm pursuing I should be doing? So very often the type of task that we continue doing and we maybe shouldn't be doing, especially if we want the business to grow when it starts taking off, is actually admin and other support tasks. So this is the type of task where ideally we should be delegating them and outsourcing them to others, someone who can do it faster, potentially better, hopefully better, and cheaper as well. And for example, there are virtual assistant companies now all over the world. I personally have a virtual assistant who is based in the Philippines, and we have been working together for over a year, and she's supporting me very much with everything I do around the accountable mindset and also my property investments. So in terms of efficiency, when you look at your calendar and your activities, one of the questions to ask is always, can I block or batch activities which are similar or related to the same topic? So, for example, when so again, taking myself, I work within property investing, but also I'm a coach. So what I try to do is I try to have property investing days and coaching days as far as this is possible. And I block out time in advance to allocate this as much in blocks as possible, because personally it takes me a lot of time to change from one topic to another. It's a completely different way of working. It's a completely different topic, different people I speak to. So being able to book time up front and try to schedule meetings in line with those blocks really helps to speed things up, because I don't have to go back and forth all the time, reopen documents, close documents, different emails, and so forth. So that really helps. Also, prioritizing challenging tasks can really help with efficiency and speeding things up. Very often we have the tendency to, when we have a list, to start with the easy stuff. By the time the afternoon comes, we might be not as fresh as in the morning, and then the big task that has been postponed is there, and we feel even less like doing it. And I mentioned it recently. Actually, this is procrastination. So very often we think about procrastination as actually being lazy or not doing things. Now, the interesting thing is that procrastination is actually doing something, just not what we should be doing at that point in time, because that's what we have to do. That's what we need to do to move our business forward, to move towards a goal that we have. So what helps us, again, is within those blocks of time, having actually a list of activities to do. So we don't have to start thinking every time, oh, what is it, what I have to do? There is a list that's prepared and updated. So at the end of the day, beginning of a day, different people do this differently. But at one of the bookends of the day, start or beginning, to really have a clear view around what the activities are going to be. So it's no longer necessary to waste time, spend time going back and forth thinking, so what was it that I need to do today, and who do I need to call, or what activities do I have to line up so I don't forget anything important. So again, lists help with moving things forward to be more efficient. Another way of being more efficient is combining activities. And I'm being very careful when I say this, because our brain has two parts. And when I say combining activities, these are two things that are being processed by different parts of the brain. This is the only way to do it efficiently. So, for example, walking and talking done at the same time, or the other thing is walking and listening to a podcast. That's very easily possible. That's possible very easily, because our brain processes these two activities in different parts, so there's no conflict. However, when we most of the time when we try to multitask, when we try to have, I don't know, two conversations at the same time, two phone calls, because it's the same part of the brain which is being used, this is where actually we are losing efficiency, not gaining efficiency most of the time. So multitasking can be a bit of a trap when we try to do several of a similar task or conflicted task at the same time. And conflicting means that are being processed by the same part of the brain. That's just too much for the brain to really deal with. What else is there? So when you think about efficiency and how to win back some of the time, one of the things that work really well with the list is allocating specific amounts of time and real bursts for focused working energy. So the tool I really like is Pomodoro, because you can set your timer online. And the nice thing it does is that times you and your work effort for 25 minutes. So you really focus for 25 minutes on a task and have a 5-minute break. So it builds in those breaks as well, where when you have achieved a task, you can actually go and reward yourself, which can be very helpful and motivational for especially when it comes to a longer task that takes longer. So and the reward could be something like a cup of tea or coffee. It doesn't have to be great, huge things. It can be a walk around the block. It is really about just breaking it up and doing something that you like and enjoy doing as a reward for having delivered and done that particular task during that time. Another way of saving time is having a constructive, supportive working environment. And again, working from home, there are some challenges, especially with families, small children. However, sometimes it's a question of managing expectations and managing this time. So there is, when there's little space, there are opportunities to separate. So there are barriers and walls that you can pull up quite easily, and that they create a visual barrier. So this can be really helpful in a smaller space. This creates a bit of privacy and space to actually focus on work. And every time you are able to focus on work, you're actually able to do it more efficiently and faster, because the distractions don't happen. And of course, this applies equally and to social media. So when the phone goes off with reminders, with notifications all the time from Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, there's thousands of options. This is going to be very, very destructive. And when you think, oh, I just have a quick look, there's no such thing as a quick look on social media normally. So avoid distractions. Put your phone away, try to have really hours where you can say, actually, I'm not reachable. You can set up autoresponders on the different tools, phone, email, and so forth, that are really going to help manage expectations so people know if they can't reach you, why it is, and when they can reach you again. So again, managing expectations is a really important part of working efficiently and effectively. And then finally, one of the things I wanted to bring up as well is not just work, but also the home life. So when we think how much time we spend or could save, with an example like, for example, shopping. So many people are quite spontaneous shoppers, and I know it from my own experience, versus the alternative, which is thinking about the meal plan for the week, and then shopping accordingly. So the shopping, and potentially even buying everything online, so the shopping gets delivered to the front door. This saves a lot of time and a lot of money as well at the same time, which is not a bad thing. And when you don't just pop out to the shop every other day, this actually saves time. And this popping out to the shop could be quite a distraction as well, because you have to get ready, then you potentially have to leave your kids with someone, and things are happening. So this can be a distraction. So organizing the shopping can be great help. Also getting someone to help with the cleaning. Again, this can be quite controversial, but in terms of saving time, being more efficient, effective as well, not cleaning anymore, getting some help, this can really help. Also, at home, often we look for things. So I remember I used to spend hours looking for keys. I didn't have them in one bundle to start with, but then also I didn't have a set place where I could actually put them. So I was going through my handbag, through half the room, the kitchen, until I found the keys. So I do remember what difference it can make. So having an organized plan where everything goes, again, it's not just the keys. There's a lot more that we tend to look for during the day, but this can really, really help to save time. For efficiency, sometimes when we have great ideas, we don't write them down. Sometimes we think we have to do something, but we can't quite remember. So it is also possible to save time by having something I call a parking lot. So having a block notepad next to your bed, next to your workstation, in the kitchen, potentially in every room of the house, just to be able to jot down what you need to do at the point in time where you think of it. And very often, then, bring this all together, just taking this page to wherever you can take it down, put in your calendar, on your diary schedule, can really help also to save time, not having to look around, what was I supposed to do at that point in time, or tomorrow, or this evening. And the last one, and that's a bit of a fun one, for efficiency, how to save time. So unfortunately, I can't remember which of the time-saving gurus has brought this up. But there is the most extreme time-saving initiative I've heard or read about is actually using the electric toothbrush. I'm not kidding you, the electric toothbrush instead of the traditional manual one. And I don't know if it was Tony Robbins or someone else who mentioned that particular time-saving option from someone who's really trying to save every single second in terms of efficiency, doing things efficiently so they can use the time for a more effective activity in their life than something like brushing their teeth. So that's where I'm going to end the effectiveness and efficiency update. Do let me know in the comments, please, if you have any questions from your side. There's a couple of questions that have come up before. First of all was that someone was asking me, a client actually, they were saying that they were working from home, which tends to be quite common, and they were interrupted all the time during that time. And what was it that they could do about it? Because space was limited, and they were just really felt when they're at home, they have to be at the beck and call of the family. And the first thing from my side to say is that whatever the situation is, it is up to you to take control of it. Of course, it will never run exactly as per plan. However, if there's no conversation about what should happen, when should it happen, what mum, dad, or whoever else that might be in the household have to do at what time, where they need a more quiet time, where they cannot be disturbed all the time, nobody will know about it. So really managing the expectations and helping the other people in the home to understand what's going on and what a good time is to have a conversation and what isn't is the starting point. And again, it's never going to be perfect, but you have to give people the chance to actually work with you and support you in what you do. They are not mind readers just because they are family. So this is a starting point, really communication and establishing a set of rules and expectations for everyone. And then that was the first question. And then the second one was, someone was saying to me, if I spend the time actually writing down the tasks that I do, and I go through this, how do I know that it's actually going to help me when I do what you just mentioned to do? And I mentioned, 20, 30 things that you can look at and do to become more effective, more efficient, and therefore save all the time. And the answer is really that nothing ever works for everyone. So you have to try. It's always try and error. You have to try what does work for you. Everyone has a very specific situation, a very specific biorhythm, how they work when they are more productive, more effective. They have their life circumstances, do they have small children? Do they have to commute to work? So you will have to work with what you have. And the more you try, and not just try once and never again, but really give it a chance. Try it for 1-2 weeks. This is usually my recommendation. Try something new for a couple of weeks, see how it goes. Make sure you talk to others. So within your household, people understand when something's changing. Why is it changing? And actually it might work for them, but only when they know what's actually happening. So it's really important to take the whole household along. Potentially also, if this impacts something you do at work, also speak to your colleagues and your boss as well. So there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees ever. However, if you don't try, you will never know. So give yourself the chance and the opportunity, because you could save up to 22 days this year still, and this is just by saving 1 hour of your time a day. By becoming more effective, more efficient, you can divert this time straight away. Just imagine 22 working days of 8 hours into something that you want: your passion, your health, creating your wealth, creating your new revenue stream, whatever it is that your goal is. This is what you could do. So there is one more thing. I'm going to add a resource. I'm going to pop it below the video, and that's a title by Robert Pozen, a book around productivity. I have mentioned it before. That's a new resource I'm recommending. Have a look at it. It's an absolute classic. And let me know if you have any questions before I close. And otherwise, find me in the Facebook group. You know I am, the Accountable Mindset. And thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me. It's a beautiful evening, at least out here. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and also listening to me. And thanks very much, Val, as well, for the tip. That's fantastic. I'm going to add this as well. Yes. Brilliant. Thanks very much, Val, and thank you very much, Richard, as well. Really appreciate you being here. And hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Bye, guys.